Cats and books go together like coffee and cream, like pumpkin and spice. Now, while I do not want to feed that ancient old feud between cat people and dog people, but by all means do let me know down below in the comments if you're team dog or team cat. I will say this video is one for the cat people. If you like cats, then these books are for you. Now, as always, I will be linking all of the books I talk about down below in the comments, so you can do your own research, but we all know that cats have no patience, so let's get on with it. Now, for our first perfect book, we travel to Japan, because cats are considered a good luck symbol in Japan. And this first book was a book that you guys recommended to me. I absolutely loved it, and I was utterly destroyed. So thank you. I'm talking about the Traveling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Arakawa. This book is the story of a voyage. On this journey, the cat Nana and its owner visit a whole series of childhood friends. And in doing so, the story almost daisy-chains several new characters together. And each of these characters have their own story. Yet these are not just simple stories. All of these stories are linked almost like petals to the main story, the reason why Nana and its owner are undertaking this voyage. Now, I am not going to tell you what the reason behind the whole voyage is, because that would be spoiling, but in the end it all fits together like a jigsaw puzzle. The book continually switches between POVs. Sometimes you get to hear the story from the cat's point of view, and at other times you get to hear the story from another character's point of view, keeping it fresh and interesting. It is an absolutely beautiful book. And it is at this point that I would highly recommend the audiobook of this one as well, because the narrator has done an incredible job of giving the cat Nana a bit of an arrogant, posh, almost British-like voice that suits the cat ever so well. So if you're into audiobooks, do check this one out on audiobook as well, because it's perfect. So yes, the first book to kick our list off today is The Traveling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Arakawa, a must-read for any cat lover or any Japanese literature enthusiast. And we're staying in Japan for our second book, which is The Cat Who Saved Books by Sosuke Natsukawa. Now, this is quite a different cat than our first one. This is a story about a young boy who comes into possession of an old bookstore that was run by his grandfather. Now his grandfather, his only relative, has died, he is a bit lost in the world, he's left behind with his old bookstore, and he simply doesn't know what to do with it. Until the day that Tiger, a, let's say, magical cat, appears and needs his help. Needs his help to save books and reading. Now you could easily call this one an urban fantasy, you could easily call this one some magical realism. But I call it one of the best critiques I've ever read about reading and the publishing industry today. It talks about the mass marketing of books, it talks about reading almost as competition, it talks about you and me as readers. It is a quick read, it is a delightful story, you could call it cozy, I guess, and it certainly has some depth to it. It is the ideal Sunday afternoon book. Just pick a cozy spot, have a hot beverage of your choice, maybe have a cat on your lap, and read away. The Cat Who Saved Books by Sosuke Natsukawa. We leave Japan and their wise cats for now and are going to look for some mischievous kitties. Third book on our list is The Unadulterated Cat by Sir Terry Pratchett. In this book, which is not a Discworld novel by the way, Terry Pratchett asks himself the question: why do we not get any real cats anymore? We're not talking about those perfectly trimmed, well-behaved, really sweet kitty cats that you see in commercials. No, we're talking about the almost feral stray with clipped ears, no flea collar, and no manners whatsoever. So in this book, Sir Terry Pratchett goes out and looks for what makes a real cat. Now, as always, he does this with enormous amount of humor. He does this with a sharp observation of society, and he does it with all of the wit he can muster. Now, the book itself is a collection of ideas, of essays, of stories that might have happened for real. With Pratchett, you'd never know. And it is also a collection of cartoons. The award-winning cartoonist Grey Jolliffe has illustrated this book with some very funny little cartoons that match the tone that Pratchett gets in this book perfectly. So if you like your cats to be a bit more naughty, then this is absolutely the book for you. The Unadulterated Cat by Sematary Pratchett. And when we are talking naughty cats, there is one classic, one book that could not be left out of this list. This book is actually a poetry collection. It features all of these little cat personas. Different characters with different virtues and different vices. And if you're still not knowing what I'm talking about, then names like McCavity and Rum Tum Tugger might ring a bell. Yes, this is the book that inspired one of the longest running musicals anywhere in the world, Cats. I am talking, of course, about Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats by T.S. Elliot. There is something about children's poetry that brings joy any other poetry fails to do. It is meant to put a smile on your face, and it actually succeeds in doing so. All of these cat characters, all of these aspects of cat, I guess, are relatable, recognizable, and ever so funny. So why not indulge in some cat poetry with Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats by T.S. Eliot. In the next two books, we're going to look for that ever so mystical cat-like Zen. And the first one is The Dalai Lama's Cat by David Michie. Now, this book is two things. First of all, it is the story of a cat, a stray kitten that is left for dead on the streets and is saved and taken to a very special place. All of a sudden, it finds itself to be nourished, to be cared for, and to be loved by the Dalai Lama himself. And since she is the Dalai Lama's cat now, she is allowed in every room, and she is allowed to sit on every conversation, on every meditation, you name it. And it is from that unique inside perspective that she tells the story of the things she sees and experiences. But you could also call this book a self-help book. A beginner's guide to Buddhism taught by a cat. Because throughout the story, our little cat changes. She starts to adopt the teachings of a new master. And as she changes herself, she teaches you, the reader, how you could change as well. It is a lovely read, it is a quick read, and you can take from it whatever you want. If you just want it to be a story about a cat, then by all means, read it like a story about a cat. If you want it to be something more, however, then you can absolutely take some wise life lessons from this book and use them for yourself. The Dalai Lama's Cat by David Michie, and why it is perhaps a good idea to reincarnate as a cat in your next life. And since we're talking about cats and Zen Buddhism, why not talk about The Cat Who Taught Zen by James Norbury. Now you might know James Norbury from his graphic novels about Big Panda and Tiny Dragon. A graphic novel series about two unlikely friends that travel together and inspire each other. You know, graphic novels that can easily claim a spot on a shelf right beside The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse by Mackesy. Now it is this James Norbury that has also drawn The Cat Who Taught Zen. Again, a beginner's guide to Zen Buddhism taught to you by a cat. It is the beautifully illustrated story of a cat traveling to a lone mystic pine. It is said that if you sit and rest under the branches of this tree, you will be overcome with a sense of calm and peace and happiness. So our cat sets on its journey to find just that. And on the way it meets a plethora of animals. A tiger with anger issues, a turtle that does not want to live anymore, a monkey with anxiety. All of these animals have stories to share and lessons to learn. Yet it is the last animal our cat meets on his journey that has a lesson to teach. The key to a happy life. And no, I am not spoiling what that is. If you want to know, if you want to unlock this secret yourself, then go read the book. Because it is beautiful. You can read it in half an hour and keep thinking about it for days on end. It is one of those almost coffee table books that you just pick up whenever you have 5 minutes time to spare and just browse, flick through the pages, enjoy the art and think about the lessons within. It makes for an excellent gift to someone you love or to treat yourself. So do pick up a copy of A Cat Who Taught Zen by James Norbury. I highly recommend it. Now the next book on our list is something I don't do very often on this channel, and that's middle grade. But this series is worth it. It is Warriors by Erin Hunter. Now, Erin Hunter is actually a pseudonym of 5 people who writes this Warrior Cat series together. And it is a series. I think there are about 36 books already. They have been translated in many languages and are ever so popular. My 10-year-old can't shut up about these. He has taught me more than I even want to know about the several cat clans already, and I just had to include this one in this list. It is a middle grade fantasy series about cats from the perspective of cats, and it somewhat reminds me of an old book, one of my childhood favorites, which is Tail Chaser's Song by Ted Williams. This series is the story of 4 clans, 4 different types of cats, 4 clans that live together in the wilds, in the woods, and things are not well. Brave warrior cats are dying, the Shadow Clan is growing stronger every day, and something needs to happen. And yes, these are very feral cats, very wild cats, but the main hero of our series is a little house cat. A pampered house cat who knows nothing about living in the wild, surviving out there, but might prove to be one of the bravest warriors of them all. And these books are amazing. They have everything a good middle grade series needs. They have adventure, they have danger, there is loss, there is emotion. It is a joy to read. I've now read the first 6 books, which is the first storyline, I guess, in the series, and I must admit I actually quite enjoyed them. Middle grade fantasy and animal stories always go ever so well together. So if you have children, grandchildren, nephews, nieces, you might be a teacher, or you just like some easy reading middle grade yourself, then do give this series a try. Warriors by Erin Hunter, a delightful middle grade series for cat lovers. The last one is a bit of a different book. Yes, it still is for cat lovers, but beware, Kitty is not out to play. You know this one, it is Pet Sematary by Stephen King. I don't think I need to introduce this book to you, but if you do not know the story, then let me quickly get you up to speed. Imagine the perfect household. In the perfect house, with the perfect garden, the perfect children, even the perfect car. And as with any perfect family, I guess, they have a cat. Isn't that just a delightful story? Oh yes, and there might be a pet cemetery at the end of the garden, and there also might be an old Indian burial ground. But hey, what's the worst thing that could happen, right? This is of course a typical Stephen King horror story, and in my opinion, one of his best. This one is dark and gruesome. And if you think, he's not going there, is he? Yes, he is. This book grabs you by the throat. And with each page flicked and each chapter read, that grip tightens. And yes, it might not be just about cats, there is a reason why many editions feature the family's cat on its cover. Not going to spoil it for you, but if you like horror stories, if you like Stephen King and you have not read Pet Sematary just yet, then by all means, go out and get a copy. Because this book is what horror stories are all about. Pet Sematary by Stephen King, an absolute classic in the genre. And now, I want to hear from you. Tell me your cat's name. Tell me your favorite cat book. Or tell me which book I have missed in this list. Let me know down below in the comments and we'll talk cats and books some more. And that's it for me for this week. As always, thank you for watching, and if you like this video, do leave a like, do subscribe, do leave a comment, because those are the things that help the channel. And if you don't know what to comment, why not just comment a cat emoji? Because this week's video is all about our furry feline friends. And that's it for me. I will see you in a next video, and in the meantime, if you need some more bookish recommendations, you can always go here.